Well, New Day does not rock today, and the power of positivity is not with me. Hello, darkness, my old friend. You've come to talk with me again. Sens lose 3-2 in overtime to the Montreal Canadiens. How are the young guys now? I finally did it! I scored again! Quit taking penalties! The Sens are gonna blow this game. Way to tie up the stick in front. Not. Well done. Just well done. You better believe we're gonna be having a penalty chat at the end of this one. What a time to be alive! What a long and brutal season that was. This team, man! I literally said at the end of my last video, this game against Montreal is very important. I will not stand for losing to Montreal. Then they go out and they lose the way they did. They couldn't even take advantage of the Habs, who are on the second night of a back-to-back with travel. Yeah, it's great. They dug a 2-0 hole and then marched their way back to get to overtime. But that overtime goal left such a bad taste in my mouth. We're going to do a little bit of film study on that goal, but we've got to get there. So let's kick things off with lineup changes. In a bit of a surprise and in what feels like forever, the Sens came into this contest, made 0 lineup changes and 0 roster moves. Everything stays exactly the same, and just like against Boston on Monday, the Sens come out in the first few minutes and absolutely dominate the Canadiens in this one. After outshooting the Habs 8-1 in the first 9 minutes of the game, the Habs finally get their feet under them, and with 6.5 minutes left, score on the power play to take a 1-0 lead. Shea Weber and Max Domi play pitch and catch at the blue line. Domi fires the puck towards the goal where Nick Cousins is left standing wide open in front. Cousins tips it by Nilsson, and it's 1-0 Montreal. Look at this for a minute. It's a 5-on-4, sure, so somebody's going to be wide open. So the guy you leave wide open is Nick Cousins standing right in front of your goaltender? That's just asking for trouble, and the Sens got into all kinds of it on this goal. Thankfully for the Sens, things don't get any worse, and they head to the second period, trailing just 1-0. And then in the second, both teams have a few chances, neither can find the back of the net, so we head to the third with the game still 1-0. But before we get to the third period, I'd like to address something really quick. Look at this photo for a minute. What is that? Like seriously, what is going on here? And note the situation as well. The Sens are trailing 1-0, they're on the power play, and it takes 5 players to take the puck from 1 Canadiens player. Oh, and you might think, yeah, so? Teams get photographed in awkward positions all the time. Yeah, that may be true, except there's also this. And this. Oh, and if you want to throw this in there as well, you may as well at this point. Ottawa's not exactly great at looking good in photos, are they? Man, this team can frustrate me. Now, getting back to the game, 29 seconds into the third period, Thomas Tatar fires a terrible shot towards the goal, bounces off Mark Borowiecki, goes over top of Anders Nilsson, lands behind him, goes in the net, and it's 2-0 Montreal. What a great start to the third period that was! But just 4 minutes later, with the Sens on the power play, Tyler Ennis throws a puck towards the goal, lands on the stick of Brady Tkachuk, he's Johnny on the doorstep, fires it by Caden Primo, and it's 2-1 Montreal. I may be wrong about this, and you can let me know if I am, but does Brady Tkachuk ever score a goal where he's not 5 feet away from the net? It's almost like if Brady moves more than 5 feet away from the goal, he's not going to score. But he was about 5 feet away from the goal on this one, beat the goaltender, and now it's just 2-1. And then with just under 7 minutes left in the game, Brady Tkachuk forces a turnover in the Canadian zone, he fires a shot on goal, Caden Primo kicks it aside, lands on the stick of Connor Brown, Brown with the rebound, and it's 2-2. Brown now has goals in 2 of his last 4 games, and points in 3 of his last 4, so hopefully he starts to really pick it up offensively, especially in the goal department. Unfortunately for the Sens, he couldn't do that before the end of regulation, and we head to overtime with the game still tied at 2. Ah, yes. Overtime. Barely a minute into the extra frame, Brady Tkachuk turns the puck over, the Canadiens race back the other way, Max Domi feeds Sherratt, who's wide open in front, Sherratt beats Nilsson, and the Canadiens win 3-2 in overtime. Now, Let's break this whole play down. I mean, first of all, the Sens come into the zone in a 3-on-2. All Brady has to do is make a simple little 5-foot pass to Chabot. He's right there. Instead, he tries to go all the way across the ice to Duclair and misses him by about 7 feet. That gives the Canadiens a 2-on-1 with Chabot chasing back. Chabot then points to Domi as if to tell Tkachuk to play him. So Tkachuk obliges and moves over to play Domi, and then Chabot goes to play Domi as well. That leaves Sherratt wide open in front. And of course, Nilsson then has no chance. I get it, young players and all that, but that's like 6 mistakes on the same play, a total miscommunication, and I just can't stand those kinds of goals. Thankfully, this season doesn't exactly mean much of anything to the Sens, so I can't get overly upset about it. But I mean, you saw me break it down, so you should understand why I'm frustrated. Let's just get into good news, bad news. I like the way the Sens were able to battle back in this game, and that is the good news. Sure, it wasn't a dominating performance in the third period, and no, Ottawa didn't look terrific, but they found a way to come back from a 2-0 hole, and that's huge. Yeah, Ottawa was able to take advantage of a young goalie who was trying to win his first NHL game, but Ottawa could have easily just packed up the tent and gone home after Montreal made it 2-0 just 30 seconds into the third period. They didn't do that, they kept battling, they buried the chances they had, and they forced the game to overtime. No, they didn't finish the job in overtime, but being able to force that game to overtime is going to be huge for the growth of these players moving forward. Ottawa was able to dig themselves out of a 2-0 hole and get the game to overtime, and that is the good news. Now, for the bad news. I mean, it's that overtime goal, isn't it? I've already been over it, so there's not a whole heck of a lot of point in going over it anymore. But Ottawa made a total calamity of the overtime, and that is the bad news. Next up, the Sens return to action on Saturday for their second straight Saturday afternoon matinee when they host the Columbus Blue Jackets. That contest will be the second of 3 meetings on the season between the two teams, with the Blue Jackets currently holding a 1-0 edge in head-to-head play thanks to a 1-0 win in Columbus 2.5 weeks ago. The third and final meeting of that season series will come in Columbus in February. But before we can get to that game, the Sens first need to figure out a way to beat Columbus, as they've lost 5 straight to the Blue Jackets and 6 of 7 overall. Over the 5-game losing streak, the Sens have been outscored 18-6 as well, and in the 6 of 7, it's 27-13. These games haven't exactly been very close. Luckily for the Sens, the Blue Jackets come into this contest having to play in Pittsburgh later tonight, so hopefully Ottawa can take advantage of a slightly tired team. The Blue Jackets also come into tonight losers of 4 of 5 and 5 of 7, so there's a chance. That's it for this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with anybody you know, and today's question today is, you saw my breakdown of the overtime game-winning goal, what did you think of it? Let me know down below, and we'll see you on Saturday afternoon when the Sens host the Columbus Blue Jackets.